Hello viewers, welcome to CEC Gurukul Lectures. I am Dr. Sanawar Soham from Kalindi College, Department of Botany, University of Delhi, and I was discussing edaphic factors in plant ecology series. I had just discussed with temperature, the latitudinal and altitudinal variations that bring changes in the temperature of a particular region, and I am continuing with adiabatic heating and cooling. Now, adiabatic change refers to the change in the temperature with pressure. On descent through atmosphere, the lower layers of the air, they are compressed under the atmospheric pressure. As a result, they are dry and warm. The air expands as pressure decreases. This expansion reduces the temperature and releases the latent heat of condensation in the process. When air rises upwards and cools the region, it is known as the adiabatic cooling. This happens as a result of the expansion of air when lifted upwards. When the air descends, it gets warmed, and this is called adiabatic warming. Now, moving on to the distribution of temperature over the period of time or seasons. Now, during January, it is winter in the northern hemisphere and summer in the southern hemisphere. Isotherms, they over the northern continents show that the land masses are overcooled and polar cold winds are able to penetrate southwards. In contrast, isotherms over the northern oceans show a poleward shift, as I already discussed, indicating that the oceans are warmer and are able to carry high temperature polewards. Isotherms, they bend towards south while moving from sea to the land. The western margins of the continents are warmer than their eastern counterparts. Now, westerly winds, they carry high temperature into the land masses. Lowest temperatures are recorded over northern Siberia and Greenland. The high temperature belt runs in the southern hemisphere around 30 degrees south latitude. The temperature gradient is close to the eastern margins of the continents. For instance, along the east coast of Asia in Northern America, the temperature changes at a rate of 1.5 degrees Celsius per degree latitude change, while along the western margins it changes at the rate of 0.5 degrees Celsius per degree latitude change. Thus, isotherms, they exhibit a more regular behavior in the southern hemisphere. Now, if we talk of July, in July the isothermal behavior is opposite of what it is in January. It is summer in the northern hemisphere and winter in the southern hemisphere. Over the northern continents, a poleward bend of isotherms indicates that the land masses are overheated and the hot tropical winds, they are able to go far in the northern interiors. So, the isotherms over the northern oceans, they show shift towards the equator, indicating that the oceans are cool and are able to carry the moderating effect into the tropical interiors. The lowest temperatures are experienced over Greenland, and the highest temperature belt runs through the northern Africa, the West Asia, northwest India and arid southeastern USA. The temperature gradient is irregular and it follows a zigzag path over the northern hemisphere. The gradient becomes regular over the southern hemisphere but shows a slight bend towards the equator at the edges of the continent. The thermal equator now lies to the north of the geographical equator. Now, what is mean thermal equator? Thermal equator is a global isotherm having the highest mean annual temperature at each longitude around the globe. So, the highest temperatures are recorded in the tropics, but the highest mean annual temperatures are recorded at the equator. The thermal equator shifts towards north and south with shift in the position of the vertical rays of the sun. The mean annual temperature shifts northwards during summer solstice to a much greater extent than towards south at the time of winter solstice. During winter season, the angle of incidence of sun rays is low in the tropics. So, the average annual temperature of the tropical regions is therefore lower than the observed near the equator. Now, in this slide you can see that the earth, due to its rotation, it reaches perihelion, which is the minimum distance from the sun in its orbit, in its orbit and in early January, and it is at aphelion, which is maximum distance in the early July. Now, the temperature is lower in lower layers of the air, which increases with elevation. This happens commonly along a slope. The surface radiates heat back to a space rapidly and cools down at a faster rate than the upper layers. As a result, the lower cold layers, they get condensed and become heavy. The surface underneath makes them move towards the bottom, where the cold layer settles down as a zone of low temperature, while the upper layers, they are relatively warmer. This condition, opposite to the normal vertical distribution of temperature, is known as temperature inversion. This phenomenon is specifically observed in the intermontane valleys. The phenomenon is which temperature increases with increases altitude temporarily and locally under certain conditions is known as inversion of temperature. In the mountain areas, the temperature of air increases with increasing altitude. There is no obstruction in the receipt of insolation in the day. Air is thin and hence there is great loss of insolation in the night. During night, the radiation from the upper exposed slopes of the mountains, they cause the surface and air over it to cool rapidly. The cooler air is denser. It gets drained by valley slopes and displaces the warmer air towards up. There is an inversion of temperature. A high temperature range is noted in the interior areas of continents than at the seas. This is because the sea heats and cools slowly, but the land heats and cools rapidly. Temperature is low in the clouded areas because the clouds, they obstruct the receipt and loss of insolation. Now, in desert areas, insolation is received without obstruction in the day and lost without obstruction in the night. Ice and snow, they absorb less and reflect the insolation more. Hence, the daily temperature range is low in snowbound areas. The prevailing winds also have a great effect on the annual temperature range. The variation in the annual temperature range in the West and East European countries, it is due to the land and sea winds. Now, the winds from the land, they blow in Arabian countries and they increase the annual range of temperature. So, wind, they have a great effect on the annual temperature range. Winds from the oceans and seas, they blow in Western Europe and reduce the annual temperature range. Now, warm and cool winds also disturb the temperature range. The temperature inversion takes place only under certain specific conditions. Which are these? These are the long nights, so called, so that the outgoing radiation is greater than the incoming radiation. The clear skies, which allow unobstructed escape of the radiation. And the third one, calm and stable air, so that there is no vertical mixing at the lower levels. Now moving on to the equator. The duration of day and night is same in equatorial countries. The sun rays are vertical all through the year. There is no difference between the summer and winter season in equator. But if we talk of poles, the duration of day and night and the inclination of sun rays, they go on increasing towards the poles. This causes a difference between the temperatures of two seasons. Hence, towards the poles, the annual temperature range goes on increasing. And if we talk of oceans, the equalizing effect of sea water makes the winter less cold and summers less hot. This reduces the annual range of temperature near the seas. Now, the ocean currents near the coast also affected the temperature range. The shift of ocean currents changes the weather and the seasons. They also increase the annual temperature range on the coasts. The countries situated far into the interior of the continent have a high annual range of temperature. Due to the warm Gulf Stream, the winter of Western Europe is less cold. Now, if we basically see the distribution of living organisms, it also changes due to the influence of temperature. The changes in temperature influences the geographical distribution of living organisms. Every organism requires a particular temperature for its survival and growth. The temperature requirement varies for each species. The lower minimum, the upper lethal, which is harmful, and the optimum temperature are called as cardinal temperatures, and these vary for each species. Temperature is one of the most important ecological factor with profound effect on essential activities of living organisms. It regulates many physiological processes such as metabolism, growth and reproduction. An optimum temperature is required for the essential metabolic events in the living organisms. This is because the temperature primarily affects the stability and activities of enzymes that are involved in various biochemical reactions occurring in the cells. Some organisms, they have narrow limit of tolerance to high or low temperatures, while others have a wide range of tolerance or capacity, which are known as euthermal organisms. The characteristics of biotic communities are determined by temperature. The different types of biomes, they develop throughout the globe in response to the changing climatic conditions. The temperature varies with latitude and latitude. Therefore, vegetation and fauna, that is the flora and the fauna, all differ from region to region. The environments such as fresh water, marine water and land, they are subjected to fluctuations in temperature. Temperature fluctuations are less common in aquatic environment as compared to the terrestrial environments. Changes in temperature lead to formation of the strata. The uppermost layer is called epilimnion. Hence, the temperature can rise up to 37 degrees Celsius during summer. The stagnant water, which is at the bottom, is called as hypolimnion, and its temperature is about 50 degrees Celsius. Between these two layers, the uppermost and the lowermost, is the zone of thermocline or metalimnion. It is characterized by rapid fluctuations in the temperature. Now, in this slide, in the diagram, you can see that this is basically epilimnion, which is the topmost zone, as I discussed. The lowest one with stagnant and 50 degrees Celsius, this is hypolimnion, and in between these two is the thermocline, which is the zone which basically encounters a lot of temperature variation. Now, if we talk of plants, both extremely low and high temperatures have adverse effect on the plant growth. Low temperature leads to the formation of ice crystals in the intercellular spaces, causing severe injuries to the tissues, whereas extremely high temperature, it causes adverse effects on a number of vital physiological processes like respiration, transpiration, protein metabolism, etc. These effects cause stunting and finally death of plants, and this is called as heat injury. Plants that differ considerably in temperature tolerance. There is a little metabolic activity at the temperature below 0 degrees Celsius or higher than 40 degrees Celsius. The Arctic and the alpine plants, they carry on photosynthesis at a temperature below freezing point. Now, most of the seeded plants, they become inactive or get killed after or above 55 degrees Celsius. Few species of blue-green algae, they can grow in hot springs between 55 to 70 degrees Celsius temperature as well. Certain species of yeast can tolerate temperature of around 114 degrees Celsius in dormant conditions. The bacteria can tolerate temperatures between 120 degrees to 130 degrees Celsius. And some fungi species also can withstand temperature up to 89 degrees Celsius. But majority of the plants, the seeded plants, they basically do well between 0 degree and 40 degrees Celsius. Hence, the temperature is one of the factors that limit the geographical distribution of plants. Based on temperature requirements, the plants have been classified into different categories. They are megatherms, the plants that live in high temperature throughout the year. These plants are found in equatorial and tropical rainforests. Then mesotherms, these are the plants that live at high temperature of summer alternating with low temperature of winter. They are found in deciduous forest of tropical and subtropical regions. Then the third category is microtherm. These plants, they live in extremely low temperatures. These includes the plants of temperate and high altitudes up to 12,000 feet of tropical and subtropical regions. These regions are dominated by mixed coniferous forest. And the last category is isotherms. Now, it includes plants of Arctic and alpine regions, which are above 16,000 feet in tropics and 12,000 feet in the temperate. Alpine vegetation prevails in such localities. Temperature and moisture determines distribution of vegetation. Different belts of vegetation occur between equator and the poles. So, the vegetation is primarily determined by the heat. Plants which grow in a hot climate cannot grow in cold climate and vice versa. The same crops cannot be cultivated in all regions of the world. Different crops are cultivated in different regions of the world. This is due to the difference in the temperature requirement for the growth. The mechanism by which temperature influences the distribution of species and vegetation has been studied by modeling population growth. The impact of temperature on various stages in the life cycle of plants have been established very well. And an analysis suggests that heat during the growing season, as measured as the day degrees, controls the distribution of the vegetation. For perennial vegetation, both the heat during the growing season and the absolute minimum temperature are critical. The northern latitude and upper altitudinal limits of lowland and southern vegetation are directly controlled by the climate. In contrast, the southern and the lower altitudinal limits of upland and northern vegetation are controlled by temperature sensitive competition with southern and lowland species. So, many of the temperate sensitive processes of plant growth and development, such as the non-linearity of extension growth and the variations in the threshold temperature of processes, may increase the realized heat sum at a particular geographical location. Now, the plant processes, if we talk of, the temperature affects the rate of many physiological processes in plants. These includes transpiration, photosynthesis, respiration and seed germination. If we talk of transpiration, the rise in temperature increases the transpiration rate. High temperature influences the saturation deficit of the atmosphere. It decreases the humidity of air. Thus, more water is transpired. High rate of transpiration is linked to high rate of water absorption from the soil. If we talk of photosynthesis, which is one of the physiological process regulated by temperature, the optimum temperature for photosynthesis for most of the plants is 25 to 35 degrees Celsius. Photosynthesis stops at 40 degrees Celsius in temperate plants and 50 degrees Celsius in the tropical plants. In some desert plants, photosynthesis can continue even at 80 degrees Celsius. Whereas algae, it requires low temperature range for photosynthesis. Respiration and germination of seeds are also affected by temperature. So, now I have just completed with the temperature, the altitudinal and latitudinal variations and its effect on plant and vegetation of region. In the next lecture, I shall start with Shelford's law of tolerance and will discuss the minimum and maximum tolerance factors of ecological factors by the living organisms. Thank you.